Do I sign twice?
You sign up here and down there.
Here.
Yes, see, you see, yes.
You want to date this today, or you want to back
today's date? Have to be today's date.
Okay.
And as much as this is 17th. You. Okay.
I'll give you that back and use that.
All right.
Again.
Okay. All right. All right. I think we're ready to roll.
Okay.
All right. This is an interview with Representative Leonard Morris for the Jackson State University Robert Clark Era Oral History Project by Emanuel J. Abston. Representative Morris is in his office in Batesville, and the time is 2:45 p.m. No, it's 1:45 p.m. How are you this afternoon, Representative Morris?
Fine, sir. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Sort of disappointed over the game in Memphis, but that too shall pass.
Goes with the territory, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You're so right about that. At the outset, I want you to just comment on your early life, if you would. Did you prepare yourself for a career?
Dr. Abston, is that I just had my 40th year high school class reunion, Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
And that in the reflection part, the other of my colleagues in the class asked that I give the reflection. And I told them that, finishing high school in '66, it was a year before I went on to college. I stayed in my father's health had failed, and I thought that I just couldn't go. So I worked a year prior to going.
Okay.
Then I went to community college, and then from there I went to the University of Mississippi, and then in later years I've gone to the University of Oklahoma. And here recently I just finished at University of Virginia School of Business there.
Very good.
But anyway, long story short is that I tell them, even as a realtor, as a state legislator, and I just finished my tenure as the president of Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, and that they always want to know introductory material.
Yes.
And I said that number one is that I finished at Patton Lane. Had not been for Patton Lane, that would not have been a Northwest Community College,
yes.
University of Mississippi, now University of Oklahoma. So that if that means any preparation, and I used to take my after I finished college, believe it or not, I taught school for 1 year.
Okay.
And I left there. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And I worked for the city of Batesville handling their community development program. And then I used to take my vacation. And that's the reason I said it now, is that any young person can do what you want to do.
Of course.
And I took a realtor course through the Realtors Institute. That's why I used to take my vacation every year.
Okay.
So took everything that they offered. But anyway, so if anything for preparation for a career, that's the only preparation I've had. But I did not foresee. You couldn't have split my head open and told me that I'd been in the legislature one day.
Yeah, it's a little irony there, isn't
That's
it?
right.
What was your undergraduate major? I'm concerned for the record. What did you major in?
I majored in education with a specific in math. I taught math for a year.
Oh, okay.
That's
Very
right.
good. All right.
Then I kind of got a taste of urban planning, and that's in community development type work with the city, and that's what I got off into.
Okay.
And from there to the real estate business.
All
but
right.
I tell you, I came back home from Ole Miss there, and that a lot of the blacks had been trying to run for school board.
Okay.
It never was successful. The qualification always came up. And I decided that that's when the election used to be held the first Saturday in March. And I decided I would run, because they couldn't say that I wasn't qualified.
Yes.
I had been taught by them.
Yes. Had impeccable credentials.
Yeah. And you're right, is that because they tried to find everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ran and I lost by 220 votes. The first Saturday in March. Now, I don't know what you from Tennessee originally or what?
I'm originally from Tennessee.
So you won't know much about what I'm about to say then.
Okay.
But here, for somebody my age and older would understand that the first Saturday in March used to mean something to folks that lived on a farm, especially if they were sharecroppers.
Oh.
That's when they got the furnish money. I'm not fortunate enough to say that we ever sharecrop. We always stayed on our own place, little farm. But so that's what I would go use when I would talk to black folks. Let's make the first Saturday in March mean something to us again.
Okay.
And I had a good turnout of votes. That's when the election was held at the school, not at the precinct. It was held at the school, and I lost by 220 votes. But it was for an unexpired term, and so I didn't ever stop running.
Someone passed away or something?
No. Well, a guy resigned.
Oh, okay.
And so they appointed somebody, and then this guy had to finally run for the position.
Okay.
So he had 1 year left of the term. So as fate would have it, I lost, but I didn't ever stop running, and I ran again the following term.
Yes.
And just won over.
You had a chance to, should I say, go back to the people, and they knew that you were sincere.
That's right.
That's
and
right.
It was very, very emotional for the community because they never had somebody to be successful.
Yes.
A lot of people who had run before just couldn't win. They couldn't get the vote out, and everything. But I got the vote out and won. Was fortunate enough to win. Now,
the question I'm going to ask you now is, what district was it then? Now, here again, the name has, the number has changed and all. So I want this for the record too.
Well, now
initially, what district?
That was the South Panola School District that I was talking about there.
Okay.
So I served on the school board. I'm bringing you up to the legislature. I served on the school board for 15 years.
Oh, okay.
Never was unopposed.
Okay.
For 3 terms. It was a 5-year term. For 3 terms.
Okay.
And had served as director. Mississippi is divided into 10 planning and development districts. Had served as the director of one of the planning and development districts.
Okay.
And during that time, I befriended one of our governors, Ray Mabus.
Okay.
Governor Mabus spent the night with us, and all. And I didn't have much money to give, but I gave some money because I believed in. I think the only way this state was going to move forward was education. And he and William Winter were education together.
Yes.
So he planted the seed to me that I should run for the legislature.
Yes. He and you perhaps at the same age, aren't you?
That's right.
He's a little older.
Yeah. No, we're somewhere close.
Okay, that's what I figured. Yes.
But he wanted me to run in '92 when the legislature just had gotten approved with redistricting. Okay. But I knew if I had run in '92, then you got to turn right back and run in '93. So I opted not to run to '92 for the '93 year coming up. So I came in the legislature. I won. I was the only minority from a majority district. My district at that time in '93 was 51% white, 49% black, and it was just unheard of. Ed Blackman, Representative Blackman, laughed about it now and said that they hadn't counted on me.
Yes.
When they redistricting, they said there's a certain number of blacks should win, but they had not counted on me. And they
Panola County.
They said, who is this guy? I didn't get any help from them because they thought that I couldn't win. But then I won the Democratic primary, and then I won the Republican seat. Beat an incumbent in his own district. I mean, his home box. Home box. But anyway, at that time, it consisted of about 60% of Panola County, 40% of Quitman County. Lambert and Crowder.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I went to the legislature, and that was I had met Robert Clark prior to then, though. I met Robert Clark when he was running most people don't even know that Robert Clark ran for U.S. Congress from the 2nd Congressional District.
Yes, in '84.
And I introduced him in Panola County to the Voters League up there.
That was '84, right? Just for the record.
That's
When
right.
1984?
1984.
Okay. Right, okay.
Okay. And that was my first time meeting Robert Clark.
Oh, okay.
I was impressed by him then.
Yeah.
And then when I got to the legislature, he was sitting until he retired, the seat where he started out at in the legislature. And I remember Bob gave me a piece of advice that I won't ever forget. And I try to give that to freshman legislators coming in. And he told me, he says, Morris, your district is 51% white. Mm-hmm. Don't ever forget your district makeup. And says that, look, you can't do some things that some of the rest of us do. Yeah. And says that when you make your vote, you think about the people you represent. You know, and I've never forgotten that. And I try to tell freshman legislators coming in that always vote your district. You know, and the other thing probably more important, he told me, here in this chamber, all you got is your word. And that's true. That's true. That's all you got is your word. If you ever mess up on your word with a member or a lobbyist or a special interest group, you've lost it. You've lost it there.
It hunts you.
That's right. You've lost it because they can't trust you. All you got is your word. That's all you got. And if and people will respect that. Sometimes a member will understand that, look, a lobbyist, look, I can't help you with this. I cannot vote in favor of this. But they understand that the next vote, you can vote for something that they're interested in.
Yes.
And I think Bob Clark probably would go down in history as being a well-respected scholar and a gentleman.
Yeah.
Very gentleman, fair-minded in all his dealing. Took probably some of the success that we as black legislators are enjoying today is on the backs and the shoulders of with things that Bob Clark did. He told me a story. I don't know whether he told you.
I want this. This is what I said. Your personal reflections. This is what I really want you to share with me, because that which is not in print.
He told me a story, and I hope he tell you this one time, that he got so frustrated trying to serve in the legislature. The speaker at that time was Buddy Newman, and was such powerful, would not recognize, that he got so frustrated. And a member coming to the legislature now, if they come thinking that they're going to change the word the first year, it can become frustrating to you. Yeah. But it's much easier now than it was when I came in '93, because a freshman it was just almost unheard of a freshman get up and taking the podium. But they get sworn in now, and freshmen will be at the podium the next day on an issue. But Bob Clark told me he had been trying to get the attention of the speaker, and the speaker did not recognize him at all to have anything to say. So he just got so frustrated, he threw a briefcase he had up on the podium and walked out and went to his truck. We all are assigned parking spaces, and went to his truck. And I've always said that there's some good no matter where you are. I met good people no matter where I've been. But one of his colleagues, who happened to be white, came out behind him and told him, said, Bob, you doing what they want you to do. He wouldn't tell him in the presence of others. Said they have won if you walk out now. Said, take a drink. Hey, listen to this stuff. He told him, take a drink of this whiskey and go back in there and get with him. Now Bob can tell you who told him that. He even told me what member told him that. But the thing was, it happened, and he said that stuck with him because he was ready to give up and go to the house, and he had given up.
In isolation and the like, and I understand.
He told me that he didn't know what a reception was for years when he served in the legislature. That's right, and I'm telling. And I'm being isolated. So it had to be a lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure. And he had to get pulled on from the black community, and he had to get and then he couldn't perform. You know, because there's one person there couldn't perform. Right. He couldn't deliver, so it had to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So, and I really think, and I'm glad that y'all are doing this, because I think black members, especially in the House, need to know what that guy went through.
Yeah.
Because now you got a number of black chairmen. You got powerful committee chairmen.
Yeah.
So that we all need to realize that.
Yes. Longevity pays off.
That's right.
In any should I say political situation.
Yeah. But now he had served as chair of the education committee.
Yes.
And I really think that's where his heart is.
Right.
His heart is in education. But Bob Clark, I'll tell you, is a scholar and a gentleman. He always, I've seen him get very frustrated.
Yeah.
But he always wants to hit a happy medium. And I think all of us in politics need to understand it's the art of compromise. And Bob Clark would compromise.
Yes. Yes, he had that. This is sort of like being able to roll. We call it rough and tumble politics.
Yeah.
Wherein that you're able to, should I say, arm twist and all this, sort of like a black Lyndon Baines Johnson. I understand what you're saying. You see, let me continue on here and just ask you whether or not, as you came in, that was what we call the Black Caucus.
That's right.
You see,
a great number of us came in that year, 93.
93, and certainly the first class perhaps was in the early 70s, like Senator Anderson, we might say now, and Fred Banks and the like. They came in much earlier. Reverend Buckley, indeed. That's the third person. And so you came in, should I say, as a result of the work of Henry Kirksey, and that was
right. And I tell you somebody else that Senator Kirksey, but then you got another class that you're missing. That was the Watson, Representative Watson Davis. Not Davis, Ellis, and all that bunch that been there 20. They came in 20. Coming up to be 24 years ago, that class. Now, it was a good number of them. And the David Greens and the Percy Watson and Tyrone Ellis's.
Weren't they, though, pretty much under the thumb of Newman? Were they the ones who really challenged Newman to get him out? Although, for the most part, Newman sort of held a big stick, as you might say.
That's correct. He carried a big stick.
And then, too, you might concede that Robert Clark also sort of cast his vote in support of Buddy Newman so that he could become chairman of the Education Committee. That seemed to be in the record unofficially.
That's right.
That when he was needed to be counted on by the status quo, he signed off, should I say, and he was in that number to make the change.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. That's right. So that he would be speaker after Jenkins.
That's right. Now, I tell you what, many people don't understand the importance of the speaker's office in this state. The speaker at one time had more power than the governor.
Yes, realistically, yes.
And that Bob Clark learned out of politics by serving in the legislature as a lone black member to become chairman of education.
Yes, that is right. And so now my question about the Black Caucus is... the
numbers grew in 93. The numbers grew in 93.
True, tremendously.
And that was it was under the late Isaiah Fredericks, and I met Isaiah before he died too. Isaiah Fredericks, Representative Charles Young, and Representative Tyrone Ellis, and Ed Blackman, with the idea of the Political Education Foundation, which is now the feed, rather than political. Took the political out of it, And that was somewhat of the Black Caucus at that time, but it was just an arm to raise some money out here and do some education.
You're saying they internalized that vision?
Yes, yes, they did. There was just Charles Young, Isaiah Frederick, Tyrone Ellis, and Ed Blackman.
Uh-huh. Now, I've not been able to interview Charles Young yet, but he was in the first of the secrets, the ones I really wanted to interview because of his age and the like. And I'm going to reschedule him maybe early October.
Yes,
I hope so.
It'd be good to do. But I am told that when they were small in number from Representative Watson, it may have been a little bit more cohesiveness. I'm told by several of those, like Senator Hillman Frazier,
yes,
who served in the House at that time, and they said that they would get together at the Sun and Sand and saying, this is what we go do, there is a constitutional rule that will allow a member to have a bill read. So it was the only clout that they had.
Yes.
It's something that they were ultimately opposed to. They would just slow the process down by having bills read.
Yes.
But in '93 came where you got a significant number of blacks came in, black members came in, and seniority was played the rules, and then we started getting at least vice chairmanships, and now we got committee chairmanships and all. So it has its place. That's the reason I am opposed to term limits. I tell people in my district, in the district that I represent all the time, we have term limits already, and it's at the ballot box.
That's very astute.
That's right.
That's a very astute response, and that's true.
That's right.
Here again, term limits. Well, the people set the term limits.
That's right.
You're right.
But you're going to see a move probably happen again in the next 4 years to within the changing of the rules.
Yes.
In the House of Representatives. But I know that's not you're not interviewing me about the House of Representatives and the rules. You're interviewing me more about President Robert Clark.
Right.
And see, Bob Clark was able to talk with governors, talk with Speaker of the House, and then talk with members. And then in '93, there were a younger group of us that came, who had different ideas and all that. Sometimes it clashed with way Bob's style was doing things, but he would take his lick sometime in the Black Caucus meetings, yes, but yet saying, look, if we intend to get things done, this is the way to do it.
Yes,
he took some licks.
Yes,
and I'm not one of the radical. My thinking is not near as radical as some. Some members were always in a hurry. And all.
Yes, can't wait, impatient.
That's right. But Bob Clark had a virtue of patience. That's probably one of his greater virtues that he had, was patience. And I guess I could understand that. Having come there at a time when he was the only one, it took so long for him to see. And it is a lengthy process, that before you can get in a leadership position in the House of Representatives.
You have to have the stand power and the like.
That's right.
Let's carry this to another point. After the numbers began to increase of black legislators and the like, can you share with me some of the names of the what we would call early progressive whites who began to see this change and began to know that it's going to take effect, the Black Caucus impact and the like? Can you name me maybe 2 or 3 whites in the legislature that really had already maybe befriended Robert Clark, but also began to see the new dynamic in the politics and began to sort of outwardly identify with this progressive legislative package that you all were sort of pushing? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're asking.
Okay, can you name me 1 or 2 or 3 that irregardless of where they were from, but
no, I I didn't serve under Buddy Newman and all. I've heard
Yes.
some of the war stories about him and everything.
Of course.
But if I
This
were
is
having to
Tim
name,
Ford. You
if I
came
were-
under Tim Ford.
if I were want to name one that I
Okay.
that saw that,
Mhm.
and whether he was all for it or not, it would have been Tim Ford and Billy McCoy.
Okay.
That's right. That they saw this coming, and Tim Ford will go down in history, I think, as being one of the speakers that was able to keep in equilibrium between the races in the chamber there. If there were a rumbling going on out there on that floor,
Yes. Okay. See.
you see Tim Ford go to his office, and you start seeing members disappear off that floor to his office. And he said, "Now, what is your problem?" You know, and then to the other side, "Now, what is your problem?" And when you see them come out, and he come back and take over presiding, that would have settled. He wouldn't let something get to an eruption, but he didn't let it get. He wouldn't let it get that far. If he saw a black member starting reading, having bill read, and just slowing the process down, anything, members really getting at each other, you know. He was a master at it. He was very, very good at it. You know. On the other hand, this present speaker we got now, I think it's just reaching that level. And I'm a dear friend of Billy McCoy, but I saw where at that time Representative McCoy and Representative Scobie had to be separated on the House floor. You know. And then Bob Clark, again, would intervene. He'd get Scobie off sometime and talk to him and said, "Look, guys," and it all became about, say, it's an institution. And McCoy wanted to accuse Scobie of not respecting the institution. But I think Representative McCoy is almost to that point now that he's able, as Speaker now, to look. I don't need to let my temper intervene with this. I need to get control of this and get the matter settled. Now, he's been accused of favoring the blacks over whites and whatever. He's been accused, and that's I don't. But Billy McCoy is just a fair person.
Now, let me just sort of pursue this also. His tenure is not in excess of maybe 4 or 5 terms, is it?
McCoy?
Yes.
He's been 20
oh, really?
20 some years. That's right.
Oh, okay. And so he's sort of South Mississippi, isn't it? He's down on the coast.
No, he's
Billy McCoy is
northeast Mississippi.
Oh, okay. Now that block. Okay, yeah, I was sort of confused on that because here again, I was thinking that he was from the southern.
No, he's from Ryan's.
Oh, really?
That's right, Ryan's out.
Oh, okay. So maybe this is the reason why
Boonville.
he was able to maybe checkmate some of these other factions.
But now but he will still take that he is a team player.
Okay.
And that one time I went to him when I thought the Speaker Ford was wrong on an issue, and McCoy told me, said, "Leonard, I think you're right." Said, "But I'm gonna stay with the captain of the ship." And I know I was right.
Yeah.
But at that time, McCoy was chairman of Ways and Means, and I was his vice chairman. And I went to him with an issue that I thought Speaker Ford was wrong on. I knew I was right. And he said, "Leonard, I think you're right." He said, "But I'm going to stay with the captain of the ship." But he tell you he was a company man. That was his phrase.
Company. Team player, company man.
That's right.
They sort of rolled into being pretty much the same thing.
That's right.
Okay. Now, on education, and let me pursue that, and then I'll perhaps get off of this. Okay, Robert Clark was, as you said, a stalwart for education, and that's across the board. Now, can you identify any precise bills that he sponsored to help the historical black colleges and universities as far as appropriations, as far as even we're talking about prior to air and all that. Any comment on that? Any bills to have, K through 12, sure, and the like. But what about, can you single out some bills that he's identified with for upgrading historical black colleges and universities?
Yes, sir. I can't tell you the bill number, but I can remember the debate on the floor. The debate came from, it was, and you're right that he was a stalwart for K through 12, but he also was a stalwart for the institution of higher learning, and one in particular, in knowing the legislative process, and Bob knew it very well, is that a bill had made it out of committee and was on the floor, and it was dealing with some bond issues from the institution of higher learning.
Okay.
And there was a measure to put some additional money in dealing with the historical black colleges. And that there was one occasion where one dormitory at Valley State was still leaking.
Okay.
And and my desk mate, First Smith, Honorable First Smith, I teased him that he bleeds green and white.
Okay.
And at that time I was on Ways and Means, and I told Fur, I said, Fur, here's your chance now.
Yes.
To add to an amendment in. And he offered the amendment, and it got into a lengthy debate. So then that perked up, I think, Representative, who is the mayor of Natchez now. Want to add something in for Alcombe, and then the different things. Bob Clark was bled blue and white with Jackson State. But anyway, so everybody, there was all three major historical black institutions were added something in there too. And the debate got so heated. I remember one representative in particular that happened to be white that said she didn't care if it were leaking on someone's head, but the debate got racially. But Bob Clark was a common force in that debate. Bob Clark took the podium and said, in essence, what he said, that we got to get past, but when we were in school, these kids not coming out of better living conditions than when we were in. They want and expect to have nice places to live, dormitories to live in, nice facilities and all that. Then when you go to the major institutions, other institutions at North Camp, and they're recruited there, then they expect the same thing. And how are we going to? And I think that hit home with some of our folks, that were some of our colleagues. And so, Bob took the position that, look, I'm going to show you a difference in the two. And then there's a recruiting tool here. Our kids expect it. And naturally, when I went to school, our living conditions wasn't what my kids come up. And so what you're really saying, Mayor West, although he added to the debate to some degree, he also wanted all three to maybe, should I say, be discussed indirectly as being below standard. That's right. But see, Representative Philip West added something in for Alcombe. After First Smith added in for Valley State.
Yes.
Then somebody added in something for Jackson State.
Yes.
And it got to be black and white. And sometimes that's not good. I always say that, especially with economic development issues, need to show it as haves and have-nots.
Yes.
Because it's poor white too.
Yes.
Poor communities are there. So,
Yes.
And I'm very proud of one piece of legislation that I was housing. The first time the state of Mississippi, out of the general fund, put some money into housing for the state. Was an amendment that I put in.
What year was that?
Beat Charlie Williams on the floor, and I want to say it was like 94, 90, somewhere in there.
Oh, really?
It was a freshman. And I had senior members come up to me and say, I voted for your amendment. It was unheard of that you beat a chairman of Ways and Means. I beat Charlie Williams on the floor with that. Because people saw it as they had my white colleagues saw it as they had folks that needed the housing. It created a revolving loan fund, where cities could tap into to address housing issues in their community. Some of that money is still floating out there because they had to pay it back.
Let me ask this also. Now, as we would say from a distance, there's this, quote, pool of money for higher education. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. That
normally is appropriated, but because the research-intensive universities, should I say, always get a large chunk and the like, how is that always going to be perpetuated? How do you see in the future maybe the research institutions, maybe not saying being scaled back, but what about to some degree the historical black schools who are not research intensive but teaching oriented be given some kind of catch-up money? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, that might be the wrong term.
I really think it's going to have to come more from heirs than anything else.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
You think heirs is to some degree going to rectify in a higher proportion than most whites think that it's going to? That should, rather?
I think it will. I really think it will. If the legislature stayed the course on it. But now, where we really got to do more, I think, is that, and I've never served on appropriation. I've been on Ways and Means for the last 10 years, but and then there's a different part. The appropriation money, see, IHL makes a request, and the appropriation held out, and it's divided up based upon some complicated formula.
Yes.
But on the bond issues, I understand those because that's all held in Ways and Means there, and all. The IHL come to us with the request and says, and then Robert Clark used to tell me, and Bunny Scope used to tell me that years ago that the presidents of the IHLs were almost afraid to talk to them in the hallways, that they had to meet somewhere privately to talk to them about it. That's not true anymore. So not only the IHL commissioner comes before Ways and Means, and then the presidents or some of his staff people have the eyes and ears of respective legislators about the requests that they need. Now I've been on several tours out there at Jackson State about buildings that weren't built right. One in particular, I can remember the building that was designed improperly, and later that he had some foundation problems and what have you.
There's several of those.
That's right. But that's the debate that I was talking about. They were asking for some additional bond dollars to do that. Rather than, and see, appropriation now has gotten almost to the point is that when the Budget Finance Committee start meeting here the latter part of this month or next month, that's right, that's pretty much going to be a cut and dry deal on how much money they'll go for IHLs and what have you. You just don't have much input in that. But on the bond issue, IHL come to us with a request, but it doesn't stop any member from adding an amendment in that for the needs of some institution out there.
Okay. All right. Let me go on and sort of introduce a few names here. Who is the I mean, I guess there's no real leadership actual, but who has the most seniority and most respect in the Black Caucus from your vantage point? Is it you? Is it Blackman?
It's definitely not me.
Well, now, any comment on that? Now, here again, I'm sort of asking you because I want to be updated more so. Here again, seemed like to me Representative Blackman certainly had the ear of Tim Ford, or maybe he still has an ear of Tim Ford, but now there's another speaker and the like, and maybe that has not changed, But who pretty much guides the Black Caucus in your standpoint? Is it the senators to some degree who might indirectly have a little more status to some degree?
To answer your question in total honest, number one is not Leonard Morris, and number two, I just wouldn't. I don't know. There's only about 10 or 11 black senators.
Yes.
And there's more black House members.
Yes.
I would think that if you were to make a selection, I would think they'd probably be the House members.
Okay.
In the House.
So that's
we got
what I'm asking.
More of us, but that comes up fairly often. Who's that? And I really just couldn't give you a clear cut answer. You probably would get a different answer from everybody you talk to.
Do you, on the same note, do you envision in the immediate future out there in the decade ahead someone else in the Black Caucus being elevated to be Speaker Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. We had Representative David Green ran, Representative George Flaggs, and Representative Broomfield to run this past time. We couldn't get a consensus candidate,
Okay.
And I don't know whether a consensus candidate could have won, but at least we would not have been split on it. Because
you named three,
yes,
four more. You named four, didn't you? You said Flagg. Rename them for the record.
Okay, it was Representative Flagg, Broomfield, Green, and then I think in the last one, Representative Mary Coleman put her hat in the ring.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What four did you come up with?
Oh, okay. That's the four. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I think as for serious candidates, there was Flagg, Broomfield, and Green that started out with. But later, towards the end, Representative Coleman put her hat in the ring. We did not get a consensus candidate, and that I don't know whether we could even win now, because the conservative coalition is saying that we want a money committee, or we want Speaker Pro Tem, and so I don't know whether they got either one, but they was wanting that, so I don't know whether they would support one of us or not.
With the maybe change in the dynamics of the House, equally so because of industry and, like you were saying, economic development and the like, and a lot of transition going on in North Mississippi because industry is coming, and then you do have a increase in republicanism and the like. Is that changing, should I say, the real politics in the Mississippi House, really?
One of the things that I've seen since Speaker McCoy been there is that the Northeast delegation tend to vote together, more together.
They have been a minority faction for the most part.
Exactly right. Years ago, when Bob Clark was there, now the Delta was ruling.
That's right.
And that's not true anymore. That's not true anymore. The Delta is not the ruler. And the Gulf Coast would like to see that, but right now the Northeast, Mississippi's in control.
That is true. As I see it from a distance away.
I want to back up to something
go ahead.
You asked.
Sure.
You asked that who would a black member of the caucus kind of. I think it goes to from different perspectives. I think with judiciary matters, I think you're going to see Ed Blackman and Percy Watson. If you're talking about utilities, you're going to see Representative Ellis, Tyrone Ellis. He's been chairman of utility for people going, who have different specialties.
It's always a pocketbook to some degree.
That's right.
To some degree.
Yes. And then if you're going to get into education issues, you see Risa Dixon, who is chairman of the caucus. She used to be a superintendent. If you get into the social issues, Omeria Scott is very knowledgeable on that. And I think the caucus tend to listen more at people who have some expertise in certain areas. At one time, probably I knew more probably about economic development than anybody in the caucus now. And now Watson is chairman of Ways and Means, so he's gaining a lot of speed in that area. He's been there the last 3 years. So
the Ways and Means, sure.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Oh, okay. I noticed that I see him a lot on TV, and maybe
that's right.
You're checking these the committee makeup because of a new speaker and the like. It's sort of hard to understand why, but it can be explained. This question I want to taper off. Do you take exception to me referring to Robert Clark as being the most influential African American in 20th century Mississippi politics?
In the state of Mississippi?
Yes.
Well, no, I don't take exception to it. No, sir, I do not take exception to it. Because in state government, he probably was. And that probably will not get credit for it. But Robert Clark, I have a lot of these characteristics. I'm more behind a scene guy myself. And Robert Clark would do a lot of things.
You're an introvert. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's exactly right.
To some degree.
More behind the scenes that get some things done in the state of Mississippi than most people will ever know. And that he had the ear of Tim Ford. He was his Speaker Pro Tem.
Yes.
He served on the Legislative Budget Committee. But was not known as a radical. As folks would put it.
Yes.
He believed in you get in a boardroom and work out your differences. And then that has his pluses. He was not going to do a lot of
grandstanding.
That's the word that
I'm not trying to help you out.
That's right. That's the word I'm looking for. But I was going to say, what I really was going to say is that a lot of times when you see a member up speaking on the floor, the work is done in committee. When you see a member speaking on the floor and beating on the podium and all that, the votes have been decided. He's just doing it for the folks in the gallery, in the press. But Robert Clark was a guy that got behind closed doors and got the job done. If anybody disagrees with that, I'd take issue with that. Because Robert Clark would work behind the scene to get it done. And former Governor Winter told me something when I was not in the legislature. Wasn't even thinking about running for the legislature. But I helped him one time when he was running, and I heard him say something one time, and he said, Leonard, you should be surprised at what you can get done if you don't care who get the credit. And I think a lot of us need to learn that.
Mm. Representative Morris, are there any unsolicited comments you want to make for the record here? Because I sort of have asked you a lot of lead questions, and I've given you opportunity to sort of respond and the like, but are there any unsolicited comments in there? You've told a story about Robert Clark to some degree and the like, but any other personal reflections, what has happened, should I say, during his tenure that you've observed, anything that you want to share, having sort of risen to being committee chair and on Ways and Means and the like?
Well, now I've kind of rambled, and I appreciate you interviewing me. And that in regard to Robert Clark, Robert should be respected. And I doubt if you walk up to the average person on the street wouldn't even know who Robert Clark is. But here's a guy who came out of Holmes County, served that district there, and was still, it's kind of like Rudyard Kipling. He was able to walk with kings and still not lose the common touch. And I think that's probably, I don't know what Robert think about for an epitaph. That was one of the things, if I were he, I'd want it as an epitaph. Was able to walk with kings and not lose the common touch. On that note, as the fellow say, I'm out of here.
Yes, a million thanks for you for agreeing to be interviewed on short notice, Representative Clark. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening.
Yes, sir.